It is 6:30. We will call the Monday, December 8th, 2025 City Council meeting to order. If you could please remove your hats and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And with that, do we have any additions to the agenda tonight?
I have no additions tonight, Mayor.
Hearing none, I'll look for a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 4-0. That will take us to public comments. If there is anyone who would like to discuss anything that is not on the agenda, please come forward. And seeing no one coming forward, we'll close public comments and move to the consent agenda. Is there anything on the consent agenda that needs to be pulled for further discussion?
Nope.
Hearing none, I'll look for a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 4-0. With that, we will jump right into business items and we will open the public hearing for to conduct truth in taxation.
Thank you, Mayor. We'll go over a quick presentation here, quick loose terms, highlighting some of the changes that we're looking at as part of our levy tax rate and those included in that. So we'll be focusing on areas related to property tax levies. Since this is truth in taxations, it's about taxes, not necessarily about the utility funds. So we'll be focusing on that which is affected by the property taxes. We'll take a look at some historical information on levies, rates, and tax base, the proposed 26 levy, revenues and expenses, as well as the CIP and debt service, and then public comment and questions. So if you've got a bunch there, you can certainly ask. All right, thank you. So a quick snapshot of the overview of our tax change from 2025 to 2026. Overall, the total tax levy is not changing. It'll stay static at $1,319,879. General fund is going down a bit on that. CIP is going up and debt service is going down. So over the coverage of those three, and we'll get into each of those three in detail here. But that's our general overview and staying flat. So a little bit of historical information on this. Oh, that's much harder to see than I was thinking. We look at the general fund levy as it has changed from 2018 to 2026. It stayed in 2018, it was about 480,000, and in 2026, we're at 408. So over the years, it has gone up, down, morphed a bit here. And then over the years, one thing I always like to highlight every year is the CIP was really jammed up into the general fund historically, and you can see there was no CIP year. And then in the 2001 time period, it started getting split out. So you had those dedicated CIP funds for projects. And that's a good thing you like to do, because if you keep a lot of the CIP into the general fund, what you're spending and what you're taking in vacillates quite a bit depending on what you're spending money on. You know, you could go years without spending anything on city or on CIP, then all of a sudden you're buying $1 million fire engine, and that makes your general fund just spike way up, and then you got questions. So relegating out into CIP really helps just keep operational expenses up in here that are far more predictable and steady, and then your CIP can vacillate down here, and it tracks it a whole lot better too, I think. And then as far as debt service goes, that's been trending downward just as we've been defeasing debt over the years. And we have 3 right now, and we'll touch on those in a little bit. This, I always like the graphical representation of what the tax levy has been doing. So the green represents the total levy. The purple is CIP, blue general fund, and red is debt service. So you can see again in that time frame when general fund was higher, and then you started splitting it out between the two. Those have normalized out. So our levy for this year is about where it was in that 22 time period. Next, we take a peek at historical tax capacity values. I'll go right to the graph because that's hard to see. So tax capacity you can read as tax base or the value of the city. And when you think of levy and tax base and tax rate, they have they all play into each other. The levy divided by the tax base is generally going to be your tax rate. They are functions of each other, and they follow that accordingly. So if your levy stays the same, but your tax capacity goes up, naturally as a product of that or a dividend of that, your tax rate is going to go down, and how those play with each other directly and indirectly. So over the years, tax capacity has gone up. And then when we look at tax rate, because we've been keeping the levy fairly stable since 22, as tax capacity has gone up, our tax rate has floated down. It was around that high 40s, and now we're into the mid 30s. Highlight that there a bit more. So yeah, we'd float around 50, 49 up until about 2022. Then we started dropping off. 23 was at 44, 24, 38, 37, and now we're about 35, 36 here, proposed for 2026. There are 11 cities in Carver County, and not that it's a competition, because it's not, because every city's situation is a bit different, but just for comparison purposes, put together comparisons from 2022 to through 2025 finals, and then 2026 preliminary. So that's just it in bulk form. And I like to break it out into here, which this sorts each individual year according to from highest to lowest as far as tax rates goes. You can see over the years, historically, Mayor floated around that 6th place out of 11. And then in recent years, we've been floating downward with these 2025 and 2026 looking like will be 3rd lowest out of 11 instead of 6th lowest. And that all cities are different depending on when they take on debt, and they have projects happening that affect their levies on that, but maintaining good control over that. A little bit of information on the general fund, the revenues and expenditures. We go into looking at this, the general fund levy has decreased on that. The CIP was increased, and the debt levy or the debt service levy decreased. Comparison to each other. So major notes on that, the general fund levy, generally stable across the board. The general levy itself as part of the general fund decreased, and fire contracts decreased, but we did have increases in building permits, which slightly offset that, but this was all planned for. The CIP levy, we had increases to streets, parks, sidewalks, and general capital, and no change to the others. And debt service, we defeased the 2020A bond this year. So we have 3 stable remaining. Bit of a graphical representation. So debt service comprises 26% of the total levy. The general fund is 31%, and the CIP is 43% for those projects. When we look at the general fund specific in this, you can see that taxes went down by, or general property taxes that go towards the general fund went down by about 21,000. Licenses and permits were up by about 11,000. Local government aids up by 65. Fire contracts down by 29, and other was up by 3,300 for a net on that of a decrease of 29,000 and change. And again, the big contributing factors on that were the building permit revenues increased by 10,000 and fire contract revenues decreased by 29, with the property taxes kind of making up that difference along with everything else. So looking at the revenue as a whole, property taxes that go towards the general fund make up 36% of the general fund revenues. Local government aids make up 46%. Other revenue is at 97,000. So that's a conglomeration of our cell phone antenna rent, some refunds and reimbursements we get from the state for some of the health insurance we have as part of the fire department that we're required to have, as well as training and reimbursements on that front, as well as interest income that we gain off of our investments. So those all lumped together are that other category, the bulk of that being the cell phone tower rent. Fire contracts make up 4%, and then licenses and permits at 6%. When we look at the budget expenditures under general government, that went up with $15,400, roughly 3.5%. My apologies. Public safety decreased by 24,943, and this was primarily due to the fire department para contribution required amount that went down substantially that we had talked about prior. So that's the bulk of where that 25 comes from in public safety. Public works went down about 19,000 just with staff turnover and what have you. We saw decreases there, plus work comp dropped quite a bit in there as well. That was a big contributing factor. Parks and Recreation stayed relatively stable, and that's where we have the decrease overall of $29,493. Again, generally stable across the board with some inflationary increases. Work comp insurance costs decreased significantly, and then we talked about the para expense decreasing significantly on that. So for the 2026 budget expenditures, general government makes up 39%, Parks and Recreation at 12%, Public Works at 19%, and Public Safety at 30%, making up that pie chart. So we take a look at CIP, some updated, we go back to 2022. That's kind of when the CIP really started. 21 was the first year, but keeping historical information and taking a look ahead to projecting out a few years here. We can see we're entering into pretty stable periods with the CIP. Streets, parks, and general capital increased to align with the CIP needs, and sidewalk replacement was increased to balance out the levy overall for the flat 0% increase that we're seeing. When we look at the debt service schedule, you can see that this year was the last year of the 2020 A bond payments. So now we're just down to 3 bonds that we have on the books. The 2021 A bond is for the new fire station. 2021 B bond is for the 5th and 3rd Street infrastructure project. And then the 2023 A bond was for the mill and overlay project that occurred in Coldwater, Hidden Creek, and on Shimcor. So those are our 3 remaining debts. I think they have about 10, 15 plus years left on those for sure. So those are going to remain pretty stable going into the future. Now, this is a nice one I like to get. So we conglomerate everything together and split it out. For every dollar of tax money we have coming in, about 12 cents is spent on general government, 9 cents on public safety, 6 cents on public works, 4 cents on recreation, 43 cents on CIP, and 26 cents on debt service. That's the presentation I have. Any questions or comments, observations I can take?
Any questions from the audience? No. Well, thank you. And again, thank you to everyone involved, all the department heads and obviously Nick and staff and all the council members. I appreciate this. So with that, we will close the public hearing and we will then move to approve resolution 2025-22, which is approving the 2026 final budget and the 2026 final levy in the amount of $319,879.
Motion.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion, a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 4-0. And then we will move to the introduction of ordinance 251, amending the fee schedule.
Thank you, Mayor. So about that time of year, we start talking about amendments to the fee schedule. This year, we're proposing, we want to have some discussion here on how our community center rental structure is set up. I apologize, I didn't have the spreadsheet pulled up. I'll yank it right here. All right, my apologies. So Alicia was very good to pull together these figures and data for us to take a look at. So we've had our structure for about 3 years now. And we wanted to get an idea of what is actually being used at the community center and where the rentals are actually going. So put together usage statistics on here. So we have small group residential rental, small group non-resident rental, large group resident rentals, large group non-resident, a 2-day rental fee for resident and non-resident, a 3-day rental fee for resident and non-resident. Then we have nonprofit in here. Small group residential nonprofit, small group non-residential nonprofit, and large group for those as well. So I think what we want to take a peek at is really the totals down here and what we've been seeing it being used for the majority and what categories really haven't been used for. So the ones that really jumped out at us were the 2-day and 3-day rentals. Out of 3 years, we've had 1 2-day rental and 2 3-day rentals. Seeing as how those really haven't been used, we're proposing that we axe out, you can see those right here, axing out those 2 and 3-day rentals just because they've never really been used. We can go to this small group, large group daily rate, and if they want multiple days, they can just purchase multiple days of those. And then we want to take a peek at the small group nonprofit. This one doesn't look updated. My apologies. Thought we had changed some of that. Let me double check. I may not have forgot to resave it. No, I think I forgot to update that part. But as part of the 2 and 3-day rental, we've never had any church or funeral rentals, so we're looking to remove that. And for the damage deposit, rather than having 2 separate damage deposits, 99% of the time we give the damage deposit back. I think we've only taken 1 since we've been here, and that was when the floor accidentally got damaged by the pogo stick and gouged the wood. So we had some taken out for the repair, but then that brought on the project of replacing the entire floor, which wasn't that person's fault, but that's the only time we've ever had a partial taken out as far as damage deposit. So that being said, just looking to shore that up as 1 in there. Looking to adjust the small group daily or the rental rates by $25. The cleaning cost to have it cleaned after an event is $75 cost to us, and then we figured in with HVAC and electrical usage. When you figure in, we also have tables that get used and others, especially on the $100. We're not having a whole lot of margin on there to put money back in if we ever need to do something with it in the future. So looking at boosting these up, and Alicia did do some research for other community centers in the area, and their costs were ranging for small group rentals. It was as low as like $225 all the way up to $600 for daily rentals. So while we're bumping this up a little bit, they're still affordable when you look at other places. We really wanted to keep the small and large group daily rental. We had talked about different ways of slicing that, but we have a lot of people use this for birthday parties, anniversaries, small group type of stuff, and we don't want to price them out because it's a nice place to come in and use. Some other areas we're looking at for the small group, that's right, we got it right here. For the nonprofit rental rates, we want to get this cleaned up a little bit more, and how we categorize that wasn't the cleanest as far as this went. So we're looking up here to do it as more of a public entity, local civic group versus non-local, non-local nonprofit event rental. We have a lot of local groups that over the years have been given free use of the facilities. Watertown Mayor gets to use it. Zion Lutheran Athletics gets to use it. Even in this spreadsheet, below that up here. We have a local homeschool group, baseball club. They had their meetings here. Pickleball uses it from Mayor Lutheran. Veterans, the fire department, fish fry, some of the Sunset Meadows Association meetings. We have a lot of different local what we call local organizations that do use it. But this is also a kind of, we want to figure out, because we also have some of the larger events that, even though they are local, we want to split that out. So that's where we talk a public entity, local civic group, when there's an actual event, like we're more seeing these types of events. We have the same cost as the rental up here. And then if it's a non-local, nonprofit, true rental event, then it would be the the small group non-resident rent up here. If they want to use the council chambers for, if it's a public entity or a local civic group, if they want to use this for a meeting, for example, let them use that free of charge, just because we don't have cleanup in here really after it. And if it's a small meeting, they're going to pick up theirs after themselves. And we do have some of these groups that use it already that we allow. We're looking to codify it within the ordinance rather than us as staff going, these use it for free, these don't, to make sure we have it on the schedule. For the council chambers, for all other organizations that aren't public entity or a local civic group, we'll charge them $25 for use for meetings. Similar type of mentality. If we happen to have, let's say Park Board is meeting here and we have another group, I'll say baseball club, I'll pick them out of thin air, that would like to have a meeting at the exact same date. We could have them in the gym mezzanine area. They're not using the whole place. But then that would, same logic would follow. Instead of the council's chambers, have them use the gym mezzanine for the same types of rates. Wanted to toss that out for discussionary purposes, thoughts of council. I know I sat down, Alicia and I sat down with the mayor here last week to go over this, because we know there's a lot of what we'll call major changes to how this is structured. Some of this other stuff down here was rollovers from the former way, from 2022 and earlier, before we switched to the resident or the resident, non-resident, 50 or less, large and small group. So tossing that out there. This is out there for thoughts, discussionary purposes, looking to get feedback.
Any thoughts?
Okay, so on the list of all the like nonprofits, did they all pay or were these like free?
These ones got to use it for free. These ones paid.
Okay. Is that changing? Like, so we'd be charging everybody?
That's where we're looking for more clarification. So we're not having some more on the unwritten, the verbal side of things of how they've been handled in the past. We tracked it back to 2023 and tried to go back further, but there wasn't a lot of great documentation. We've been following things of how things have been historically done. So when we look at these groups, we looked at this and what was paid and what was not. And then we tried to adjust this to fit more in line with what we've been seeing here on that front.
So can you go back to the list? So like you would charge the fire department to host the fish fry here.
This is where we have the discussion
Okay.
to make sure we're aligning this to the needs.
Like I'm not really interested in charging for some of the groups that have, you know, utilized it because they're associated with like the city or the school, you know, I don't know.
Like the Lions, I have a hard time charging them for their spring and fall bingo, because they are, they give back to the community.
Well, they have paid for their bingo time.
I
not their
know, but
meetings yet.
I'm
Right.
just saying, I didn't know that, so
So like the fire department stuff, I find kind of, you're just taking from one pool of money and putting it into a different pool of money.
Correct. And like I said, this is just to get discussion going.
Okay. Do we have,
You know, this, if you want to have public entity, local civic group or events, if the will of the council is we don't want to be charging our local civic groups for events, that's fine. So you could have those right there would get exempted out. Because they have to be a local organization in order to qualify for that free event usage. If that's something the council wishes to do.
Yeah, from everything else I can see, I'm fine with not charging the whole left side, but those few on the right shouldn't be either.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
Yeah, some of our discussion was, like an event, like the bingo that I'll just use. And we talked about, we obviously, the Lions donate money, but should we be separating because someone donates and they shouldn't get charged? We still have the cleaning, the bathroom supplies that gets used, the heating, the big events, use of the tables and all that. And we felt with the amount we're charging is pretty reasonable. That's where the thought process was. Not to say it has to be that way, but
So can we separate it? Well, you kind of already have events versus meetings.
right. Yep. Because we want a Lions meeting, eight people. Sure, come on in and use it. That's not costing us anything, for us to use. We try to stay away from trying to play favorites, if you will, on, hey, you donate money to us, okay, you don't have to pay.
well, it's not even to
Just kinda
us,
make
but
it
they
to
put
the
it back
community.
into the community.
Well, right. That was the thought, not that it has to be that way. That's the way I was when we were meeting. That's kind of how I was looking
Yeah,
at it.
it's not a huge price.
I mean,
or
I
anything.
don't know. I just struggle because I feel like there's a lot of things on that list that feel odd to charge for, that we've never charged for. I understand the meaning, but I also think that Mayor's a bedroom community, and there's a lot of things that don't happen here. Like, we have no public schools. Like, everything that we do, if you go to whatever school district you go to, you leave the town for it unless you're Zion or go to Mayor Lutheran, and a lot of those kids don't even live in town. So like, I think it was great that the football team hosted a dinner for their players here in Mayor, so that people that lived in Mayor that were on the football team didn't have to always commute to Watertown. I find that as a benefit. I don't think they could afford, because it's the parents that plan it, to charge for a fee. But I also understand that we pay for cleaning and that. So it's just really hard for me to,
The intent of schools were to be no charge, correct? That's the proposal.
For their smaller stuff, if they're meetings, if it's meetings, like I think probably a football dinner is a meeting, I would probably classify that as. But yeah, this is where it's spurring the discussion of how we want this to be sliced on it. So if you would want to make a public entity local that free, could certainly do so. Then any non-local nonprofit would not be free. We would work on delineating that a bit more. Yeah, under this, it would be Zion. These bigger events would pay that cost.
yeah, I mean, I just am struggling just in general with, I don't know, I think it's just a nice thing. It's a nice space. I think we would lose a lot of people actually enjoying the town of Mayor, that don't normally come here. If we started charging, they may pick a different location. I don't know.
I just look at the Lions, they use it twice a year. That $250 isn't gonna make or break City Hall.
Right.
And they do a lot for the community. I'm struggling with that one really bad. I get that it's not a lot and it covers the cleaning. I just struggle with it.
And some of that I for me, it was not having gray areas where, what do we do? Make it black and
Right,
white? Because
right.
everyone will then say, well, I do a lot for the community. They do a lot, you know. What if it went down? What if on the local, and again, because it's always been our intent, or not always, but a lot of our intent with this is not necessarily big revenue generator.
No,
right?
no, no,
It was
no.
nice for the community.
Right,
That's
right,
not,
right.
we're not out looking to make $80,000 a
No,
year
no,
on
no,
this,
no, no.
and we never would. But what if on those public entity, local, maybe, what if it just went down to the 75, just to cover the cleaning?
I was that was running through my head, honestly,
that
too.
would-
You know, maybe kind of that happy medium there that we shouldn't be taking losses on some of this
Right.
stuff if it literally costs us to do that. Now, can we put a cost on electricity, heat? No. I mean, yeah, we could sit with a calculator and get down to the penny, but do we need to? Maybe we just cover the cleaning. The cleaning gets covered on some of those
is that,
public entity, local civic.
so if we have those groups, the cleaning person comes in right after them? Or are they always just cleaning everything every week?
Cleaning comes in on Wednesday evenings. It also depends on how the weekend is scheduled. So if you have an event on Saturday and an event on Sunday, it'll get cleaned on that Saturday. And depending on the event on Sunday, it will also get cleaned after that. They'll run the floor scrubber along the gym if they've got all the tables out to take care of it.
And the restrooms are probably used.
So
quite a
then
bit more
is
than
that
usual.
$150 then? 75 per?
75 per
Per.
event. 75 per event cleaning.
So then you'd have to determine if the event is a cleanable event, then you charge a 75. If the cleaning people are not coming in to clean up after that event, it would be free. Could that be non-gray?
If we want to slice that, I would lean towards what Chad was going for before. It's not a ton of events.
No,
All of them combined are half dozen or less.
right.
And how many of those on the list are using just the mezzanines? Because that's free.
Probably firearms,
Firearm safety,
Mhm.
lion meeting,
The football dinner.
Veterans,
Mayor Baseball Club,
Sunset Meadow.
Veterans, Sunset Meadows.
I think anything dinner, I think they just use the ups.
Right. So
Up
really
area.
the only ones using the whole facility are like the bingos. Yeah, the fall art fair thing.
about that.
Yeah. I don't feel like asking for a $75 fee is out of line. Because everyone else is just using the mezzanine, then it's free.
Right. But for the fire department, I mean, you're going to charge you're just charging one department for another department? Like, that's
Maybe
weird to
not
me.
The fire department.
Right.
Would that just be considered like part of the city of Mayor?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's probably a city expense either way you look at it. Just
I
depends
think-
on which account it comes from. It's like what Nikki's saying. Tit for tat.
The more we talk about it, the more I'm leaning towards let's just give a shot at make this free. And I think you make this one all other nonprofit. I think you make this like 125 then.
I could be down with that.
I agree with that.
Because
Could we have this like as a bigger conversation than just like today? Like, I was prepared for this meeting, but not prepared for this meeting conversation. But I think that free, I just,
Well, we won't be, this is just introducing it. It'll be at the first meeting in January that it comes back again.
it
So
comes-
we'll have
okay,
more
got
time
it.
for
come back
discussion
to
there.
January so it would come back to January for final approval, but
We could do.
Okay,
a
so
work-
then
we could
normally
do a
this-
work
okay.
session.
But we
I
could,
would thought this was like a work session conversation. Not
we
a-
could extend that and have another I mean, if we want more discussion on it.
No, and I'm
absolutely.
fine. My first thought is I don't want to charge all those. I don't want to charge those groups.
Same. That's my first thought.
So I'd say, I'll go through the rest of it, just with the changes that are proposed. And then I'd say, let's table this, and then at the first meeting in January, we can we'll talk about it. It won't be a workshop item. We'll bring it up since it'll be introduction, and then you have adoption at the second meeting in January.
Okay.
We can incorporate changes at that first meeting, adopt that second meeting.
Okay.
I'm aligned.
Sounds good.
I'm aligned with that.
Okay. Buzz through, under copier and documents, we had all these ones right here, and since I've been here, they've never been used. The 25 cents for black and white and the 50 cents for copper, that is, man, I remember seeing that like 20 years ago when I was in college, those kind of costs. So for the city, our black and white, under our copier lease, we get up to 80,000 pages of black and white for quote unquote free. We just buy paper. And our color is 3.5 cents per copy. I don't think we've ever sold a map or a plan or any of this we've ever charged. So I'm recommending we nix all that out and just go printed materials per page, black and white color, 25 cents a page. So if you want the comp plan, we print it, it's 25 cents a page. Nice and flat,
Yep.
nice and easy. With that, adding in hot air balloon permit. They are free, but we want to make sure it's in our fee schedule. So we got that put in there. And then we go down to permits. This is a naming clarification. It says new home construction, but really it's for residential mechanical permits is what they get charged for. So cleaning up the naming there. Then we want to add a wetland delineation escrow with the Fieldstone East. This came up that our environmental firm didn't want to do the wetland delineation study unless we had escrow on hand in order to begin on it. We didn't have a wetland delineation escrow. Central Homes was kind enough to put one in, even though in our fee schedule we have nothing for that. So we want to make sure that gets in there to have that taken care of in the future. And then looking to split out this year. So these two costs cover all of these categories. We found that we have different amounts of effort that go into residential types of escrowed work versus commercial types of escrow work. Our commercial, we tend to be billing out because the 1,500 isn't enough, and with some of the residential as well. So we're looking at upping and clarifying residential types of escrows related to these are 2,500. And if it's commercial, then it would be 5,000. Just to make sure we're covering our costs and we don't have to bill them afterwards and run into issues. Then for the hydrant meter, this got overlooked a bit. So 800 was the damage deposit, and that doesn't pay for the meter if it gets lost. So it's updated to 1,100. That will cover the cost of a lost meter. We have and then the hydrant meter, we aligned the water usage to what we have in the fee schedule for commercial and residential use. Because it was 0 to 10 was before, and our fee schedule for everybody else in the city is 1 to 6. So we're aligning that because whether you take it out of a hydrant or a faucet or you're at a business, the water is the exact same. So aligning those costs to match what we have up here. So they mirror these costs right here and the tiered brackets. So those align. And then every year we update the water meter costs as we get those updated costs from Core and Main. So those are the updated costs for those. And then we didn't have it explicitly stated in the fee schedule, but utility non-payment. So if we shut off and then have to turn back on, it has been $50 that has been stated on our utility bills that gets referenced in the ordinance. So we're just making sure it's here in the fee schedule. So those were the other changes on that. So with that,
Perfect.
table it.
Yep, we'll table it, talk about it at the first meeting in January, and then look for approval on the second meeting.
Sounds good.
Thank you. Then we will move to number 13, consider adoption of resolution approving a minor subdivision for 404 4th Street Northeast.
Thank you, Mayor. So a property exchange has been proposed from 404 4th Street Northeast, owned by Joanne Whelan, and 325 Ridge Road, owned by Han Properties LLC. So what it is, it's a minor subdivision, which just means they're exchanging pieces of property with each other, is the shorthand of it. John put together a very nice memo, but I'll cut to the chase. These are the two properties in question here that we have along Ridge Road. And then in the survey itself, between the two properties, there is the land to be exchanged, 28 feet from one to the other. The Planning Commission met on this and they reviewed it, and they were in unanimous approval of recommending approval of this to the City Council.
And I assume the homeowners had any costs incurred, they would take care of those?
Yes.
One other question I was a little confused on why they were doing this. And according to John, it was so that no additional lots are created and both new lots can, how would
A lot.
a new lot be created? I'm confused with that. Not that it changes anything, I'm just more clarification.
So the concern is, and why we approve these subdivisions with the conditions that were listed in the resolution, is that with an exchange of land, if you don't require adjoining, because you're essentially breaking this parcel off. You're breaking it off, and you could have a situation where if you don't require it be adjoined to the buyer's property, it
Right.
sits as a 28-foot
Oh.
strip of land.
Got it.
It creates an unbuildable lot. So as part of this resolution, one of the requirements is we're saying, yes, we're okay with the minor subdivision.
Yeah.
However, as part of this, you are required to adjoin this to this
To
property.
that the
Yep.
south property.
She's selling this 28 feet to this property. He is required, as conditioned upon accepting it, that he will adjoin it to this property to make it
Oh,
one
I
contiguous
thought they
parcel.
were doing that to resolve not being able. Okay, I misread this then.
It's very interesting how those two lots are, I mean, this makes sense.
It does.
Like if you look at the like
Mhm.
if you're actually seeing the property, like
Yeah.
it's almost like it was, the
That's the-
house was built weird on the
Mhm.
property.
That's the
And it should
existing.
have always been including that 28 feet.
Yeah. So it'll slice it about there, adjoin this to this, so it'll be one lot.
Well,
So
that
you-
explains the mowing.
Because if you don't require adjoinment, this could sit as a 28-foot
Right.
Dead
parcel
zone.
of its own.
Okay.
But even in general, like the property on Ridge Road,
Yeah.
like that piece they're buying actually looks like it should be part of their property.
Right. Okay, no, thank you. That it didn't change anything. I was just confused by that.
Yep.
So with that, then I will look for a motion. Is this a resolution, Nick, or just?
Yes.
What's the resolution number?
2022 dash.
2025.
23.
Thank you. 2025-22, I believe.
23.
23 it is.
Thank you. I'll look for a motion to approve resolution 2025-23, approving the minor subdivision subject to the conditions.
Motion.
Second,
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 4-0. And we can move on to the approval of the updated personnel policy.
Thank you, Mayor. At our last workshop, we reviewed the updates to the personnel policy going from the 2015 version to the 2025 version. And after that, we were fine bringing that to City Council as a formal item. So here it is tonight.
Any questions on that? We went over it at the last meeting. Then I'll look for a motion to approve the updated personnel policy.
motion,
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Or any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 4-0. And we will move to consider approval to hire firefighters conditioned upon successful completion of physical background checks and submission of all paperwork.
Thank you, Mayor. We have 3 firefighters we are recommending up for hiring pending pending, conditioned upon successful completion as stated. That'll be Steele Malik, Anthony Peterson, and Ryan Moberg.
Thank you. I'll look for a motion to approve the hiring with the conditions.
Motion.
Second.
We have a motion, a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 4-0. And with that, then we will be moving to a closed section. So I look for a motion to go to closed session for the city administrator annual performance evaluation authorized by Minnesota statute 13D.053.
Motion.
Second.
We have a motion, a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 4-0. We will move to closed session.
A quick note for the attending audience, we're going to be closing the stream because there isn't a reliable method to pause the stream. Once we are out of closed session, I will be starting up the stream once again, but it will be a new stream since we don't have that great capability there. So at that time, you'll see the stream pop back up. So just hang out for the 2 or 3 people that are probably watching. And we'll come back.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you.